And I'm Mike. Sure. Um, I'll just preface with because of our, like you said, presumed two episodes that we missed, which would have covered preseason week 2 and preseason week 3. Um, we're just going to skip all that. And I'm going to kind of go about this assuming that everybody watching got to see the 53-man roster, you know, be initially unveiled. Um, So with that being said, I'd say the biggest news to come out of that was that the Raiders traded a 2026 fifth round pick for Kenny Pickett, okay, to be our backup quarterback. Sort of unexpected that they would trade for somebody, especially Kenny Pickett, and then also, some were debating if were the Browns going to cut him anyways with the quarterback room that they had. Is a fifth a little rich? I mean, I would say that backup quarterback spots or the you know backup quarterback spot is important. So I'm not too mad about the draft pick being given up. I have to mention, coming out of the preseason that Aiden O'Connell looked like garbage, and then another piece of news is that Aiden O'Connell was placed on IR due to oh was it a I think it was a broken hand, something to that effect, something having to do with one of his arms. So he's out of commission for like 8 weeks or so. Um, and then they cut Cam Miller, and got him back on the practice squad. So backup quarterback was a massive need, and even before they traded for Kenny Pickett, and before Aiden O'Connell was announced as going to be placed on IR and such, like I had that sinking feeling of like this can't be the quarterback room. Like Gino, good. I'm excited to see him on Sunday, but the guys behind him, I can't I can't be confident in that. So moving on. Go ahead. A fifth rounder next year, yeah. Yeah, I haven't watched him in a while. Well, I mean, hopefully we don't see this year, to be honest with you. Um, I think it might have been a little bit of like a desperation move of like, they come out of that third preseason game and they get the news like, yeah, man, Aiden's hand is fucked or whatever, and Cam Miller's clearly not ready because week 1 against the Seahawks he looked great against fifth stringers, but against the Niners not so good. Kind of lost the game. No, not to put it all on him, but um, in a real game scenario, the Raiders would not have lost that game, but those were backups. It doesn't matter. And then he looked, just as bad, I'd say, in the Cardinals game. Um, just not ready for the moment. So I think, like my opinion is, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think Kenny Pickett is all that good. I guess that's the point of him being a backup. But getting a guy with some game time experience and perhaps a guy who maybe I wouldn't know, but maybe Chip Kelly and company feels, fits the offense a bit with a little bit of mobility. And I mean, again, I haven't watched him in a while, but I guess you could say he had first round arm talent. That's probably debatable, but because that was a weak ass quarterback class that year. But I don't know. He has game experience. Yeah, it was a bad class. I think if that were a regular, maybes. Not all that bad. Yeah. But I think in a regular draft where like say if you put Caleb Williams and Trevor Lawrence and this guy and that guy above him in the same draft class. Hello, hello. Can anybody hear me? Okay. I guess I'll just explain to everybody that Josh is having microphone issues.
Okay.
Damn.
All
Has it
right.
been going the whole episode?
Yeah. So um, I think that I just fixed that right now. Shout out to Pia. She was able to hear you. Luckily, I didn't start off with the news. I think everybody's able to hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Can uh, Speaking of news, shout out to Anthony C in the comments. He says, "Sup fellas, tuning in from Yosemite." So that's news. He's not working watching us. He's tuning in from Yosemite. But let
Hell yeah.
me just get you guys caught up real quick. I said Kenny Pickett's not good. That's a bad deal for the Raiders. So I'm so sorry that you guys couldn't hear my amazing voice say that. But also, we haven't been live these past 2 weeks because I did have a family emergency, and yeah, so I had to postpone. So that's why we didn't end up getting the episode with Grant, but Grant said we could reschedule. So like like it's fine. He told me not to worry about it. But yeah, in terms of news in Ninerland, Mike, if you don't mind. Oh well, actually, my last point, they could have gotten like Taylor Heineke for free because didn't he get cut by the Chargers?
Uh, I he might have. You'd have to search that one up. I think it was a weird move for sure. I don't want to take too long on it. It's just a backup quarterback spot, but at the same time, it is an important spot. Like I said, um, I'd say they probably jumped the gun. Um,
Oh, shout
I
out to Pia's dad. Pia's dad was the one that figured out that you couldn't hear me.
ah
Yeah.
yeah, good. Um, well, thank you. Uh, they probably jumped the gun. Like I was saying, like getting that news, Aiden O'Connell's going to be out. This, that, whatever. Like we have a terrible need at backup quarterback now. Not many teams are trying to ship out backup quarterbacks. You had the Browns that were pretty obvious with four quarterbacks in the room that arguably none of them did they want to cut. Um, so I think they just like I said they probably jumped the gun and tried to make the deal get done before cut day, before that 1 p.m. or whatever you know uh, deadline to cut players down to 53. They wanted to get that done before that when yes, they probably should have waited until after the cutdown day to see who gets cut, and if they don't like who got cut, then make the trade. But I guess that would be running the risk of like, well, we can't go into the season with like nobody that we're semi comfortable with. But to your point, like a guy like Heineke would have been fine.
Mhm. Real quick, I do see Anthony in the comments. Other Anthony, because I already mentioned first Anthony. Anthony says, "What up, fellas? I'm the head coach of my son's Pop Warner team. My boy is one of the starting tight ends in the ace set. He wears 89 for Bowers. That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, it, Anthony, you've been watching our pod, for a while. Maybe you caught the story, but one of the reasons why Mike is so into football is because he went to a Raider game and saw, was it Zach Miller?
Yes,
Zach
sir.
Zach Miller, the tight end. So ever since then, Mike's been a Raider fan. So I don't know, something about white Raider tight ends. Just creates a fan for life. So maybe I mean your son will probably be a fan for life because it's shared between you and him. But you know, going on to Niner news. Um, the I mean, really, there's actually significant news kind of on both fronts here. I have McCaffrey and Jennings on the thumbnail here for the live video, and you know, Juwan Jennings is finally back at practice. He and the 49ers finally reached an agreement where I think they added about like 3 million in incentives, you know, so he has a chance to, I think, earn up to 10.5 million dollars for this season. So I'm completely fine with it. I think that's, I mean, they could have incentivized him more, because what I was talking to Mike earlier, and I kind of feel like a lot of contracts really should be incentivized. You know, like I have no issue if Jennings plays most of the season and gets a certain number of catches, like then he was worth the money. Like it's really not that hard. It was kind of a win-win because I don't think that he was worth like, there was some reports that he might be asking for $20 million. He's not nearly that worth it. But
Mhm.
he came back to practice around the time that Kendrick Bourne was visiting the 49ers, which I found very interesting. But it's good to know that the 49ers are going to start off the season with a pair of receivers that, we can actually feel confident in. Pearsall and Jennings. It doesn't just have to be Pearsall and maybe Kittle if Shanahan doesn't decide to use him as a blocker. But um, yeah, no, I mean, good news for Jennings. Bad news for Christian McCaffrey though. He it's like we're having deja vu. Last year, he kind of popped up on the injury report with a calf injury, but this one feels kind of recent. Because I guess he was practicing just fine all off season this time around. It's just he popped up with a, I don't know if it's a calf strain or what, but he's questionable for Sunday. And the way he worded it was he thinks that he's fine, but it was a thing where I guess he wanted to. I think I remember this. So McCaffrey just kind of shut himself down. You know, uh, I read I read on Twitter. I think it was David Lombardi had tweeted, like a McCaffrey quote that he felt proud of himself for shutting himself down, something like that. Sorry, I've had a lot going on, so if I misremember the quote or if you guys want to correct me, go for it. But essentially, it's bad news. It's bad news. McCaffrey having bilateral Achilles tendonitis last year, and now popping up on the injury report for a calf. I mean, look at the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals, Tyrese Halliburton had a calf strain that he was playing through, and then he just planted wrong on one play, and
Yep.
then he tore his Achilles. That is no joke. That is a career changing play, and I kind of almost feel like, what if McCaffrey, like, kind of long term, like, if this is a lingering issue, is he just gonna have to eventually just call it a career if he doesn't want to tear the Achilles? Because obviously he doesn't want to tear the Achilles. Like it's like a life altering thing. But I mean, just kind of how do you approach that as a professional athlete? You're at high risk of tearing your Achilles, which is like not just a career altering thing, but that's like a life changing, like that changes you know your physical health for your life. You've already made so much money. He hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but I don't know. That's just something I think about, and maybe I'm just going on a little tangent here. But like, what do you think, Mike? Do you think that stuff kind of goes on in McCaffrey's head a little bit?
Well, I've always known and seen McCaffrey to be extremely, uh, like strict for lack of a better term, like very good about his physical care, you know? Um, and for some reason, like when I initially heard the calf, or not calf questionable, but calf limited at practice, and he popped up on the injury report with a calf. I was like, son of a bitch. I mean, deja vu, dude. Like Wednesday before week 1. Are you kidding? Um, so at first I was like, wow, like, like you had mentioned in the group chat, like, sorry, thank God I didn't draft McCaffrey in fantasy. Not
Yeah,
that fantasy should be the first thing I'm thinking about. Like, I hope McCaffrey's good and I hope he has a good season at the end of the day. Just not when he's facing me in fantasy. But,
poor Renee.
uh, yeah, well,
Renee
Renee had a
drafted
bad,
he drafted McCaffrey and then drafted Xavier Worthy, who didn't
yeah.
even finish the game, got 0 points. But go on. Sorry.
I wonder, sorry, you're good. When I watched, a bit of that moment with, Xavier Worthy, it almost looked like his shoulder might have popped out of
Pop,
place or something.
I
But
think so.
I don't know. But he got decked. Dude, he got popped by Kelsey. And that was all Derwin James. That's the funniest thing. But anyways, that was a good game. Um I
Yeah,
guess to answer your
Pacheco
question,
pissed me off in that game. I'll tell you. I'm literally thinking, man, I could have drafted so and so. I could have drafted so and so, but I decided to go with Pacheco.
yeah, basically tonight's game is exactly why I didn't really care for Pacheco in fantasy, like at value, but that's another topic.
Yeah, he looked so good in the preseason.
Mm. To answer your question, like if it really is an issue, I mean they already shut him down last year. It's not like you can just boom shut him down again. Like my guess would be pitch count, and that would be a big reason why you made the trade for Brian Robinson. And that was like when they first reported that Brian Robinson was traded to the Niners, I was like, yeah, see, that's why I don't want McCaffrey in fantasy, dude. And that paired with like them getting a solid backup, I mean, arguably starter, like a low end starter in Brian Robinson, high
Did
end
we even
backup.
talk about that on the pod? That's another thing. That's another news
No,
thing.
we've been out. So yeah, that's another news one. Which I'm glad we brought up in the news
Yeah.
section. uh, I lost my point, son of a bitch. I guess just
You were
if
saying
I were,
that maybe the plan was for them to have McCaffrey on a pitch count, because they traded for
yeah,
B Rob.
that and also what spooked me about it wasn't the trade. It was somebody's report saying like some Niner insider. Of course, it's always after the fact. Suddenly they have all the fucking info. Whatever. Uh, yeah, the Niners have been really plowing through the running back market in trade calls this week. I was like, why didn't we hear that? For one, two, if they were really like going team to team, hey, do you have a running back available? How are we looking here? And end up on Brian Robinson, like that tells me they felt they really needed a running back. And granted, they do have a lot of injuries at running back right now, or at least in training camp with Garendo and Jordan James, kind of their two main backups. But I don't know, man. The timing was weird because that was right when Garendo and Jordan James got healthy again. You know, and then let's add uh, Brian Robinson. I just the writing on the wall to me is pitch count, and that would be probably the wise thing to do. The tough part of it is that you paid McCaffrey as if he's going to get you know 20 carries a game, probably 25 touches a game, and that will destroy him at this stage in his career. And to your point or question, I mean, one Achilles tear, and he might have to call it quits, or he might have over a year, over a year of rehabbing before he can be anywhere close to what he was. But at that point, he probably won't. Like, kind of what we're expecting to Nick Chubb this year. Like, we're not expecting anything special,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just carries.
yeah. Although Nick Chubb is like, he's he's got strength on his side, where he's one of the stronger running backs, and I'd say McCaffrey really relies on the shifty, like quick cuts. Like he's more of a finesse, like elusive back. You know,
Mm.
uh, which I mean he can be strong, but that's like he's not Derrick Henry, he's not Josh Jacobs, he's not you know uh, Nick Chubb in that regard, And I guess Nick Chubb, it's still yet to be determined what he still is after. I mean, Nick Chubb has had some of the nastiest injuries I've ever seen in my life. Um,
Yeah. I mean, the fact he's come back from like two of those is pretty awesome. I love Nick Chubb.
mhm.
Yeah, I just think McCaffrey, like his late stage career, I would expect to be something similar to Austin Eckler right now.
Mhm.
Of like, can still be the lead guy, but there's no chance in hell he's gonna get like 200 carries. Like, what I would do with McCaffrey if he's like pitch count, can't take a full body of work, all that, I would use him as a receiver.
Mhm.
I would use him exclusively as a receiver and emergency running back. Like I wouldn't,
So
I
just turn
shouldn't
him
say
into Debo.
exclusive, kinda, but out of the backfield,
Yeah,
basically.
he could be like Hunter Renfro and Debo combined.
Yeah, I mean he can do it. That's the thing.
Yeah. Uh,
So
Real quick, I do want to get to some comments and then we can move on to our next topic. Uh, Anthony said that his son chose the number for himself. He didn't force anything. Yeah, sure, buddy. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's awesome. Shows that he's interested. Um, Juwan Jennings is a stud, solid wide receiver with good all around talent. He came out of nowhere in the Super Bowl when you guys lost to the Chiefs. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Uh, I was watching that game like, who the fuck is that guy? No, honestly, like if you watch Niner
if
games, like important third downs, Juwan Jennings is the guy that Purdy looks for. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason why they call him third and Juwan, but he was going to be the Super Bowl MVP of that Super Bowl if the
yep,
Niners had won. CMC is done. I do not like to hear that. My friend at work is a hardcore 49er fan and is depressed about CMC. There's people out there that drafted CMC first round and AJ Brown second round. Now, like, imagine if you add Xavier Worthy into that draft, like who, and then Dak Prescott as
yeah,
like,
Dak and Eagles defense.
yeah, yeah, they're done. Um, Brian Robinson season, yeah, I mean, hopefully McCaffrey's fine. Hopefully it's like a Devon Achane thing and not like a
Yeah,
2024 McCaffrey thing, but just
I don't,
it's not
I
good
don't blame a
vibes.
soul. Yeah, I don't blame a soul for freaking out and thinking this is the end for McCaffrey, but at the same time, like I wouldn't exclaim that until I see that. You know,
Yeah.
just like last year, like it was like, what the fuck is Achilles tendonitis? How does this affect him? But we still kind of. Well, I think he got shut down at the beginning of the season, huh? Did he go on
Yeah,
IR?
dude, he like missed like the first 9 games, first 8 games,
Yeah,
and then he
but
played
once
like
he came
four.
back,
He was he
yeah, it was
wasn't he
that Bills
wasn't
game where he got fucked.
yeah he wasn't ready, or at least in game shape.
Yeah, no. But I guess my point is just when he did come back and it was like McCaffrey, he's back. Like we all thought, like, oh, he's gonna be good then, right? And then Bills game happened. And it was like, yeah, dude, I don't know about this. So if this calf injury is something that's kind of lingering from last year, then yeah, once we get that first injury, it's gonna be like it's done. But
Yeah,
until then, I'm still under the assumption that he's gonna be himself. You know?
yeah, yeah. Honestly, like let's just see how it goes Sunday. Speaking of Sunday, the 49ers are going to be playing the Seahawks for their regular season opener. They're going to be on the road in Seattle. And I mean, really, what I want to do is just kind of talk about, what the 49ers need to do to win the game. And then I'll give my prediction. And then Mike can give, his thoughts and prediction. But, my keys to the game really, I think that the 49ers absolutely, number one, they need to stop the run. The Seahawks' strength right now is their running game with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. And if they can eliminate the run, they will put pressure on Sam Darnold, and he will need to be good in order for the Seahawks to win. So, really, if they put the pressure on Sam Darnold, I'd say it's about a 50-50 shot on whether or not he'll be good or not. Because, like, most of his career, he hasn't been good. But last season, he was really good with the Vikings. up until the playoff game slash Detroit, game that was like late, last game of the season. But we saw it week 2 last season against Minnesota that Sam Darnold does have the ability to have a good game against the 49ers. And right now, their secondary, pretty much their entire defense is young. We have like what, 7 or 8 new starters on defense? Like, it's going to be an adjustment period. I mean, also an adjustment period for Sam Darnold, but, really, they need to stop the run. But the next key to the game is they need to establish the run. I'm going to go ahead and assume that Christian McCaffrey is either not going to play or he's going to be limited. So I think that they need to get Brian Robinson Jr. going early. And, you traded for him for a reason, for this reason in particular. And the 49ers have always played their best football, when the passing game is a complement to the run game. So I'd say it's imperative for them to get the season started on the right foot, come into Seattle and pound the rock. Next key to the game I have is they need to get their playmakers going early. At this point, they might need to take it easy or take it light on McCaffrey, and don't let him overdo it if he does play, or you might not have him for the rest of the season. They need to get Pearsall and Kittle involved early. I would add Juwan Jennings in there, but I don't know if he's in game shape either because he hasn't been practicing. So Pearsall has had a good, he's had a great camp, and, they need to show it off like they did in the preseason game against the Raiders. I'll say, because against the Raiders, the starters played for, what was it, like one drive or a couple drives, and they were like feeding Pearsall. And I'm not just saying that because I drafted Ricky Pearsall in fantasy. I think, honestly, I think it would be a good game plan if they get him going early. And then Kittle probably is their best weapon, on offense, and has played really well against Seattle in years past. So I think if you get Kittle run blocking early, that can set up play action, for him to get open and, to get him in open space, because it's so hard to bring him down. I would personally try to get Pearsall and Kittle involved early. And then also, my last key to the game, do not put the game in the hands of Jake Moody. You will most likely lose. I don't know what Jake Moody knows about Kyle Shanahan, but yeah, just don't leave it up to him. Play from ahead and dominate the time of possession. That's really the 49ers' bread and butter on how they win games a lot. So, if they can do those 4 main things, I think that they have a good chance to win this football game against Seattle. But here's where my prediction comes in. I think the 49ers can win this game, and it would not shock me at all. Obviously, I'm rooting for them to win. But unfortunately, as it currently stands at this given moment, I'm predicting the Seahawks to win this game, and it really gives me a sour taste in my mouth, to say that because it's Sam Darnold. But here's why. I have felt for a while that this game was going to be a close one up in Seattle, but the vibes around the Seahawks over the past couple weeks have actually been like very positive and been very high lately. And with the McCaffrey news, I kind of feel like the vibes around the 49ers are maybe starting to go a little bit negatively, even though a lot of players did just come back, from injury. But that's also another thing. They haven't practiced, I guess, they haven't had their normal practices recently because they've had so many guys that have been injured, So I think that's also a factor. They just had to adjust their practices so more guys wouldn't get hurt. Ultimately, if this game is close, something tells me Jake Moody's going to be very involved. And I don't like that one bit. So my prediction as of right now is going to be Seattle. winning this game. But the 49ers winning this game and looking completely fine would also not shock me at all. Um, so I'm going to give the home team the benefit of the doubt, even though ticket projections estimate that more than half of the fans in the stadium are going to be 49er fans. Uh, but as we always do on the show, if I change my mind up until kickoff, like we've done in years past, Mike and I will let each other know, if we change our minds. But I'm going Seahawks. What about you, Mike?
I am also going Seahawks strictly because the Seahawks feel like the healthy team in this matchup. Like you said, a team that has practiced together. Kenneth Walker, although I did not pick him in our league, Kenneth Walker was one of my guys this offseason, and I would have fucking picked him, just for context here. I would have picked him in the fourth round if it weren't for me picking Ashton Gianti in the first round because they have the same bye week.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going with Marion Hampton instead. But I'll say with Kenneth Walker, my main worry with him is Charbonnet and obviously injuries. But it kind of seems like, and this is another thing I wonder about McCaffrey, like you had mentioned, like he kind of pulled himself out for practice. Like there was a tweet from somebody who made me wonder, like, is this going to be a weekly thing where he practices like on Tuesday and then Wednesday he's limited, Thursday he doesn't practice, or Friday he doesn't practice, whatever day, and then he's in theory all good and fresh for the game. We'll see as the season goes on. That's what it sounds like the Seahawks have been doing with Kenneth Walker, of like keeping him very limited, not putting too much on his feet or legs, whatever he's having issues with, and keeping him fresh. And that is what the Seahawks need, because like you said, it feels like they're going to be a run first team. The offense is going to really run through Kenneth Walker first, and then probably a mixture of Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cooper Kupp, and Charbonnet. And really, obviously, it comes down to Sam Darnold as well. And I just think the Niners are not at full health. Who are their starting corners? Obviously, Diamador Lenore.
Renardo Green and Upton Stout.
And how do we feel about them?
Well, Upton Stout has had a pretty good camp. I feel like Renardo Green, I haven't heard as much about, but I feel pretty confident in Lenore. So, really, Upton Stout will probably be matched up with Cooper Kupp if he's in the slot.
My guess is the Seahawks will kind of alternate slot receiver between Kupp and Smith and Jigba. I know Lenore, for some reason, doesn't like Jackson Smith and Jigba. That'll be interesting. That'll be fun for me to watch.
And Lenore talks shit too. So right now it's I mean, really, if the Niners lose, Lenore's gonna get like freaking roasted by Seahawks fans and players.
Yeah. So I'll be looking for that. Yeah, I don't have much. It's really just the health of the two teams and the Seahawks being at home. And I guess part of me just feels like the Seahawks are more ready to start, a little bit more, I guess, season ready, if you will. And if McCaffrey's out, then there you go,
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, if McCaffrey's out of this game, you wouldn't have any running back on this roster that has practiced for, like, more than a full week with this team. Maybe a full 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's insane. So I think it's just gonna be Brock Purdy versus the Seahawks run game and defense.
Hey Mike, I think Pia's dad wants to make another bet. He's got a 12-pack on the Niners.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bet on Niner games because it's less in my territory, but I will happily bet on Raider games. You should take them up on it.
Oh man. I don't bet on any games because I always get screwed over. And then also, if Pia's dad says that the Niners are gonna win, they're gonna win, dude. It was Raiders versus Ravens, and he took the Raiders. You took the Ravens, and he won. You know,
I would like him to choose the Raiders every week then.
they um in our fantasy league they accuse me of like black voodoo magic, or whatever kind of like voodoo powers or whatever you want to call it. Uh, if what I said was just offensive, I didn't mean it to sound offensive. It's just ignore it. But Pia's dad is he's saying that's for you, Joshua. See, I don't bet. The minute that I do, all right, no, I'm not gonna take the bet. You know why? Because I'm so like the game is so close. It could go either way. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked. Like I don't have conviction. Like yeah, Seattle's gonna come in and whoop ass. Like it's not a bet that I would feel good about. So yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like how I feel about our fantasy matchup this week. Like I kind of don't care because it's week 1. It's hard to predict week 1. It's hard to know what players are going to do, what their, snap shares and whatnot are going to look like. Um, I'm very close on this game, just like you said. Like, it's not like, oh, Seahawks in a landslide. Like, by all means, I can absolutely see how the Niners can handily beat the Seahawks. But just because of the health of the difference in health of the two teams, I'm going with the Seahawks. Um, yeah.
yeah. So I'm not gonna take the bet because I don't have strong conviction one way or another. But before we move on to Raiders versus Patriots, which maybe there's a bet to be made there. Maybe there might be a bet to be made there. Chewy's NFL news and podcast is tuning in. He says, "Can't wait to see McDaniel offense get smashed." Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. Um, and then Pia says, "Choosing the Seabirds." Shaking my head. Ooh, we got a score prediction right here. Hold on. Yeah, we got a score prediction. Pia's dad says Niners 21, Seabirds 20, and then Mr. C says I could have swore it was called Silver and Gold, not turquoise and silver.
Yeah. I can see this game being slightly low scoring. Um, Something more like 20-17 or something like that. Um,
I actually agree. Like every time I envision this game, it's like 21-20. I just don't know who's gonna have the
the one.
the one the 21, because like all right, if you think about it, that's 3 touchdowns right there, right? For each, it's 3 touchdowns. So either or it's 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. But if the Niners are going to get 3 touchdowns and miss an extra point, or if one of the teams is going to get 3 touchdowns and miss an extra point, I want you to think about which team that's going to be. And to me, with Jake Moody, that would be the Niners. I could see where he just misses an extra point. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of who the.
It could be 20-17. It could be. It's going to be around there, I think.
Yeah, I was just trying to think like who is the Seahawks offensive coordinator, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's why I like Kenneth Walker. It's Kubiak.
Which one?
Clint.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No, I was listening to Grant and his dad the other day, and they're like, yeah, the Seahawks, they got the latest Kubiak, like kind of describing him as a car, like,
like Pontiac.
yeah, or like, they like as if it's you get a Toyota and it's just gonna last forever, right? Or
Yeah.
oh, it runs great, So yeah, I guess Pontiac would be probably a better, correlation.
But yeah, I can see them being relatively efficient. I think this game will be pretty telling on how the Niners' defensive line is going to look this season. not named Nick Bosa. Um, and then the other thing that I didn't mention, this is my last thing, is that the Seahawks have a very, very underrated defense. Um, and I could see, especially if McCaffrey ends up not playing in this game, I could see that showing out in this matchup. If they can just, if you take McCaffrey out of this game and you you just allow the defense to focus on Kittle and Pearsall, forget it.
Really quickly, let me try and fix my camera. Give me 1 second. It's like for whatever reason it was delayed. So let me see if I can't fix it real quick. Like I said, we're experiencing technical difficulties, so hopefully this fixes it. Good? Okay. Because I noticed a little bit of a delay, so I had to restart it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on tonight, man. I really don't. But let's talk about what's going on also on Sunday. What is this one of the morning games, Mike? Raiders versus Patriots?
Yeah, 10 a.m.
All right, Mike. Since this is the Raiders, I'm going to give you the floor.
Well, I think just as we said with the Seahawks and Niner game, I think this should be a close game. Um, I guess it just depends on how you view the Patriots offense. I could see many Raider fans thinking that the Patriots offense is going to suck because of their offensive coordinator named Josh McDaniels.
Oh, it's a revenge
Um,
game.
it's a revenge game in whatever way you want to look at it, yeah. Although I don't think most are looking at it that way. Um, that being said, though, I think spoilers, I guess, for me, coming out of this preseason, spoilers for like my overall season kind of viewpoint, I guess. Coming out of this preseason, watching this team and looking at the depth chart, oh man, I mean, 2 seasons ago, it felt like, man, we finally have a good defense. We have finally done it. And that was with Patrick Graham. And here we are. Patrick Graham is still the defensive coordinator. And I love that. But from a talent standpoint, looking at the depth chart of this defense, this looks terrible. This looks alarming, in my opinion, specifically at corner and defensive tackle. And they have a lot of young talent, or I should say young potential at D tackle, but they're kind of buried on the depth chart as of today.
Mm-hmm.
In the two draft pick D tackles, Tonka Hemingway and JJ Biggs. I
So,
like Adam Butler. Huh?
no, I was just going to ask. So, who do you think's going to win? But I guess
Oh,
you're
I'll
not
get
there
there.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling a very slow story right now. Um, it I guess my point to all that was just the Patriots offense, you could say on paper does not look good. I think their offensive line is underrated with the rookie coming in, Will Campbell at left tackle. They still got Mike Onwenu. I think they picked up a center. I think Bradbury from the Vikings. That might not be a good center. I don't know. I'm forgetting the right guard, and then they picked up oh, typical name. Let me see. Damn it. They picked up really. We get an ad.
Well, while you
Morgan
look for that,
Moses.
okay. I was
And they
just going to
drafted
say,
Jared Wilson.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll get to the comments after.
For sure, for sure. So like I think their offensive line is like underrated, and really the Raiders' defensive strength is obviously like their edge defenders, arguably their defensive line, but I'm not sure how I feel about D tackle right now. For as weak as the Patriots' offense looks, I can see Drake May having like a statement game. against these corners. Like it's that bad, dude. Um, we're going out there with oh, I'm just forgetting everybody's name right now. Let's see. You can still see me, right?
Yeah,
Excellent. All right, we're going out there with Eric Stokes as our number one corner.
solid.
Not really. And then Kai Blue Kelly is our number two,
Hey,
which
if you have two last names, you're probably really good.
yeah, you're automatically going to be that guy for the Raiders that is kind of dog shit, but plays good here and there and good enough, get some picks or something
Because he could
that
have been
people
Kai
like you.
Blue, or he could have been Kai
Yeah,
Kelly, but instead, he's Kai Blue Kelly.
yeah. Darian Porter right behind him. We have high hopes for him, but it's not starting. Right out the gates, like, oh, he's one of the best corners on the team or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Decamerion Richardson right there with them, and then Darnay Holmes in the slot. Uh, yeah, I just don't like it. I just expect them to get beat. Defensively on the perimeter. Especially Stephon Diggs. Like people are talking about, is he healthy? Is he not? Is his leg ready? Is his knee ready? I think he is ready. I think he's ready to, beat these corners. They got like Demario Douglas and Keyshawn Booty, I think. And he is not Booty. He's going to do good against these booty ass corners. I do like our safeties. They're not Booty. They are Isaiah Pulamau and a guy I really like in Jeremy Chin. Jeremy?
Yeah,
Let
I
me
think so.
confirm. I've been out for a while now. Um, I like the look of the safeties. They did pick up Tristan McCollum on waivers from the Eagles, and they cut Thomas Harper in his place. Earlier on the news segment, I'm talking about our defense right now, but just to move over to offense for a second, I'm really excited to see Amari Cooper.
We
Or
didn't bring it
wait,
up.
sorry. Yeah, no, that was the last thing that I was going to say, and then we moved over to the Niners, but it's all good. This is a good time to bring it up. We signed Amari Cooper. We had him for like a week and a half, and then he's like, yeah, I'm going to retire. So
Yeah,
I'm
he.
actually fine with it. I wanted to see him. I thought it was going to be fun.
Oh, it
The
was.
positive that I'll take from this, huh?
It was fun.
Yeah, it
He
was.
saw the team and he said, "You know what? I think maybe I'd rather not play football."
You guys are good without me.
No,
Um,
I'm not.
nah,
I'm not going down with this sinking ship.
yeah. He's like, not this again. Oh shit, no. But the two positives that I take from it: one, hey, he got to retire as a Raider, and then two, my bigger one, is that this hopefully propels Jack Besh onto the field a little bit more. And I also I have really high hopes for Trey Tucker this year. And I think Amari Cooper would have probably bit into his snaps a bit, either him and or Thornton. So, I'd rather just get those guys on the field, the younger guys on the field, and give them the snaps. So,
Mm-hmm.
maybe down the line there's a veteran receiver on waiver or on the market that they can get. But for now, I'm cool with what we got at receiver. Um, keeping on with that, Christian Gonzalez is I think he
He's
was
out.
labeled as out.
He's
He's
out.
out today. So I'm regretting starting George Pickens over Jacoby Myers right now. I'm not gonna lie to you in fantasy, but every fucking fantasy expert had me convinced George Pickens is gonna have a game, and I was like, well, I don't think Dak is. Why would George Pickens? And then I was like, fine, I guess I'll switch it. I wish I didn't.
Yeah,
Um,
and I should have known to start Javonte Williams against the Eagles defense, but hey, here we are now. I was
naturally,
like, hey man, I feel a little bit better about Isaiah Pacheco. And dude, I'm still
yeah,
pissed about that. But at least Omari and Hampton didn't have a great game.
yeah, at least not fantasy wise. But I like what I saw and the amount of carries that he was getting. But
I don't see it yet with him. I don't know.
oh no, he, well, you will next week when they play the Raiders. we're fucked. Um,
I don't see that. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. I just don't see it.
yeah, I think if you keep watching Charger games, you'll see it. But because that was the Chiefs' defense. The Chiefs are really good against the run. Back to the Patriots and Raiders. I think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks and how the defense, plays against those quarterbacks. Um, you know, back to the Patriots defense. They did sign the big ticket free agent Milton Williams on the D line. They have Christian Barmore, really good D tackle. Uh, they have Caleb Chase on. That's funny, and Robert Spillane at linebacker. Trying to get to see Spillane. Christian Ellis was a guy the Raiders were targeting in free agency but didn't get. Um, Craig Woodson earlier, right when you were finishing up the Niners, I was looking at the Patriots defensive depth chart. Craig Woodson is their starting safety. He was a fourth round pick out of Cal. That just pisses me off. I mean, good for him, but like that could have been us. Uh, he he apparently did so good this offseason that he pushed Kyle Duggar out of the starting spot, and they were like looking to trade him, and then they just cut the other safety that they've had for a while. Anyways, but yeah, no Christian Gonzalez. This feels like a game that Jacoby Myers, like, part of the reason why I drafted Jacoby Myers in fantasy is because, like, in training camp, especially early in training camp, like, all I was seeing was Gino was hyper targeting two guys, Brock Bowers, obviously, and Jacoby Myers. Like, every throw was going to them and them only. It felt like, and then of course, Gianti, we just expect to get a lot of touches. Um, so I guess that will be my segue into like the keys for this game. Number one, we have to develop the run.
Yep.
The Raiders have to develop the run. That first preseason game was sketchy. I hope they can do it. You have that starting offensive line out there. Let's get it going. And paired with that, I would say even if you are developing the run, and especially if you aren't, throw the ball to Gianti. I'm not just saying that for fantasy purposes. Like, get him involved
Yep.
because you invested as much as you did in him. He's supposed to change this offense. Make it happen.
Yep.
Um, without Christian Gonzalez, like training camp, hyper target your star receivers, Brock Bowers, and yes, Jacoby Myers, a guy that they should resign, and at the bare minimum, they should do what the Niners did with Juwan Jennings and give him a pay raise. Because he didn't even hold out. They literally asked him this week, like, why didn't you continue or hold out at all, just demanding a trade? He was like, I have a responsibility to my teammates. Like, that response alone, like, give him the money. I don't care. They have all the money in the world to spend, by the way. They have like the second most cap space. Like, it's ridiculous. Um, and then the next key, I would say, is the Raiders' defense somehow being able to stop the run. It looks like Ramondre Stevenson is their starter. I wouldn't be shocked by the end of this game if it's like, yeah, um, why am I Henderson?
Yeah, Travion.
Why am I forgetting his first name? Travion Henderson. My God, dude. By the end of this game, I wouldn't be shocked if it's like, yeah, Travion Henderson needs to be a starter, like week 2. Like, he's just more explosive. Like, I can just see it now where it's like, Henderson is actually getting stuffed and the Raiders defense is hella hyped and it's like a close game going into like the third quarter. And then they just do a screen to Henderson and he just takes it for like 60. And it's like, oh, that's what their offense was missing. And then from that point on, like, they give him one more play, he goes for like 15, and it's like, yeah, let's just give him the ball every fucking time, please. So yeah, I would say the main keys are develop the run. When you are in passing situations, throw to the guys, throw the main guys, right? Get guys open, like scheme guys open. Chip Kelly. Stop the run. Pretty basic, but also stop the receivers somehow. I don't know how. It would be a key to the game, but I'm expecting Drake May to have a good game because of these corners.
Mm-hmm.
All that being said, it sounds negative. I'm actually picking the Raiders. I think that they will just barely outscore the Patriots. It's going to be a close one. I think by the end of this game, it's going to feel hectic. We're going to be like doing this shit, like, oh my God, and somehow they'll squeak it out. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots win. It's a long winded way of saying that.
Okay. Let me give my keys to the game, and then I'll give you my prediction. My keys to the game for the Raiders are very similar to yours, honestly. My number one key is get Janty going. Even if it doesn't work at first, don't abandon him. The defense will wear down as the game goes on. Just keep feeding him. Next key is let Dante Thornton and Jacoby Myers cook, but don't just fire at will. Now, what I what I mean when I say that is, you know, let them, you know, I think Chip Kelly needs to have a good game plan, especially to take advantage of Christian Gonzalez not being in. Uh, During the preseason, I noticed that Gino likes to throw a lot of like 50-50 balls. That's what I mean when I say don't just fire at will. They've got Genty for any dump offs. They've got Brock Bowers. Uh, they have set up a lot of plays for Jacoby Myers in the preseason. They've got Trey Tucker, uh, and I'd say you can feed Dante Thornton, but don't force it. I like Dante Thornton. And then next I have go to Brock Bowers on crucial downs. Even though the opponent probably knows it's coming, he's good enough to where he can make the contested catches consistently. Brock Bowers is a menace. He should be the guy that they go to on third down. Hopefully they don't find themselves in, needing to go for it on fourth down. But if they do, go to Brock Bowers. He's your best player on offense. Look for him. Next, they need to keep Drake May uncomfortable with the pass rush. That's really, if you're going to stop Drake May, it needs to be one of those games where Max Crosby is able to physically impose himself and pressure Drake May and keep him running and not just dicing up the defense.
Yep. It's not going to be the corners. It has to be the pass rush.
Also, they need to limit the checkdowns for the Patriots, because that's probably what Travion Henderson's going to be used for. He's going to be in there. He's arguably the better running back. He's looked great all preseason. Look for checkdowns and swarm the football. Don't let them get unnecessary yards, or yards after contact.
I'll add on to that. They looked pretty terrible at setting the edge in the preseason. I'm hoping that was a backup issue. If they don't set the edge in this game, somebody's going to go yard, and it's probably Travion Henderson.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, game plan for Stephon Diggs. He is playing, right? Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, he's all good.
Yeah. The Raiders are thin in the secondary, so I think that they might need to double up Stephon Diggs. Even though I do like Kyle Williams, I just don't know. I always like rookies, and then they just don't produce their first year a lot.
Yeah, I think Kyle Williams, it'll take a little while. I think by the end of the season, he probably takes over like the slot role or something. But it looks to me right now he's like option number 4 or 5 in the receiver room.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I also think that this game is going to be close. I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders in this game. I think that they will look cohesive. And even though the vibes seem to be high in New England right now around Drake May, I trust Pete Carroll to manage a good game and come up with a good game plan. And, I could be completely off, though. Like, it wouldn't shock me if the Patriots, come in and look like... I think it's going to be a close game no matter what. Like, I don't think that they would dominate the Raiders, but... I think that both teams in this game are both like wait and see teams. Like, I don't really know exactly what to expect this year from these teams. So I'm just going to say give me the Raiders in this one. And then
can I tell you the difference
Yeah.
between these two.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the reason why I lean Raiders is because the Raiders have shockingly more star power in this game, especially on offense, which is why I think that it's not that the Raiders are going to beat them, it's that the Raiders are going to outscore them. You know what I mean? Which is the same thing, but it's like that's how they're going to beat them is by outscoring them. It's not like it's going to be a fucking beatdown. They're going to limit them to like 10 points or something. No. I I could see this being a high scoring game for all I know, but like they have way more star power on offense. I would argue the only stars that the Patriots have on offense are potential right
Mm-hmm.
now in Drake May and Trayvon Henderson. That's it. Stephon Diggs is past his prime. He'll be good, but he's not the star that he was. Will Campbell would probably be the other one, right? But then on the Raiders side, it's like you have Brock Bowers, Gianti. Me personally, I'm a big fan of Jacoby Myers. And then Geno Smith is a very underrated quarterback. And then of course on defense you have Crosby, right? Like the Patriots have Milton Williams, but when you take Christian Gonzalez out of the picture, I feel like the Raiders offense has that edge on the Patriots defense, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
see.
No, like you said, it's about outscoring. So, Mr. C, if you're still watching, I bet you a 12 pack that if the Raiders outscore the Patriots, they'll beat them.
Yeah, I know it. The you know what I meant though. Like the way that they beat them won't be like they're gonna beat that ass. They're gonna beat them by the defense. You know, like they're just gonna stop everything. They're gonna shut that ass down. No, like the Patriots will succeed, but the Raiders will outscore them, and hence they will win the game. That's my prediction.
Mhm. No, I think we're all picking the Raiders here because Mr. C has Patriots 14, Raiders 17. So kind of following in line of, that's a game where, I think what Mike's trying to say when he says, just simply outscore is, let's just say it's fourth and short in the other team's, you know, in the other team's territory. You just take the points. You just got to put up more points than the other team. It's not going to be like if it's a close game and you take the lead by 1 point. You know, you're not as worried about the Patriots marching down with little time left. You know, so
Mm.
I don't know. I do see Fonzie in the chat. Fonzie says, "Yo, what's up, guys? The line can pressure enough to cause some mistakes." That was literally one of my points. Of they need to keep Drake May, pressured. So that was one of my key points. And then Fonzie, I guess, missed the Christian McCaffrey news, but he's not good to go yet. He is listed as questionable with a calf injury. He's on the injury report. So we're back. We're back there. But yeah, let's see. We got a new commenter, Kendrick Lamar. Oh my God, I love Kendrick Lamar's music. Here, face blue, smiling, no Super Bowl for 30 more years. I'm calling it now.
I
The
think he's
Niners are trash without CMC. I mean, we'll have to see. Last year they were, without CMC. So I think Brian Robinson Jr. is going to be fine, but it's hard to replace a guy who does it all for you on offense. So we'll see. We'll see. So Mike, we're both picking Raiders.
yeah, in the same breath of the Niners game where it's like I'm not super confident in it.
Yeah.
It's just more of a gut check type of like, yeah, I'll pick the Raiders. Um, I can see them outscoring them, but I can also see the defense just getting fucking torched, and we have no chance. But I think the pass game is going to be good regardless because there's no Christian Gonzalez. So
Mm-hmm. So we can move on to our next topic. Uh, are we ready, Mike? Or did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
no, I'm excited to watch this game. I'm excited to see a full game with starters. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the 49ers 2025 season. We're going to be pretty brief on this. I think like originally we had maybe plan to go game by game, but we already kind of did that when the schedule came out, and we're just going to kind of give our record predictions based on what we know now. So, you know, I personally I have the 49ers going 13-4. Just based on me going through each individual game on their schedule, the Niners have a really easy schedule. It wasn't so much that I think like the Niners are so much better than everyone, but it was just so much of wow, they play a lot of really bad teams, So maybe I mean if we're talking, it's easy to just go, yeah, they should win that game. They should win that game, but there's travel, there's home games, away games, trap games. I think maybe probably more realistically they'll end out like 11-6, and that is probably going to put them in a wild card spot. But overall, the vibes that I'm getting this season is, I mean, what they're almost 100 million in dead cap. Like they're not building to win a Super Bowl this year. They're kind of financially resetting, and I think if they can win 11 to 13 games this year, I think that's a pretty good sign with a young team. And I think that they could find themselves winning 1 to 2 playoff games because I predict that they're going to get hot on the back end of the season, which is why I have them winning so many games. Because I think that they're going to be a team who is better later once, all the starters finally get experience because they have so many rookie starters. But
And you probably get Ayuk back.
yeah, I mean, it's tough
I'm
to
not
know how
expecting
much.
much from
Yeah,
Ayuk.
it's tough to know how much he'll be able to contribute, but we are going to get him back, and I do like Ayuk. But I still think that this 49ers team would have trouble in the NFC against a team like Philadelphia. So I can't really predict them to go to the Super Bowl at this point in time. Uh, I mean, they'll physically, like geographically, they'll be there. Um, they'll be pretty close by because the Super Bowl is over at Levi's this season. But I don't know. I think the NFC still runs through Philadelphia, so we have yet to see it. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think 13-4 is it's a pretty big bet. I mean, obviously, it's just a preseason sort of, how you're feeling right now. Like with more context as the season goes on, you'll have a better idea. Week by week, we'll have our picks. More fresh picks, right? Um, I just think that, like all seasons, like all teams, it really comes down to the health of this team. Uh, and the past week with McCaffrey gives me pause. Because they, I would say they kind of struggled without him last year, right?
Yeah.
So if and that's a theoretical if he goes down or whatever, right? Knock on wood, but I'm not quite so bullish on them right now. I know they have the easiest schedule, at least in last year's sort of rankings. Um, they have the easiest schedule in the league, which helps with me predicting a winning season. I have them at 10-7, um, which still should get them a wild card spot or get them really right in that range. Um, I don't know. Like I think at full health, this is a playoff team.
Mm. I'm gonna
But you
go
take
ahead.
away key guys. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and after you're done with your point, I'm gonna name the teams that I have them beating, and then that way you guys can kind of see why I feel the way that I feel.
Mm. Uh, yeah. I mean, like I said, it really just comes down to health. If they stay healthy all year, which no team does, but healthy enough, they can be a 10, 11, maybe even 12 win team in my book. But if you take away certain key players, because this is a very top heavy team, suddenly, you're looking at like, you know, barely pushing 9 wins, in my opinion, depending on the opponents and whatnot and who's out. If you take out McCaffrey, like, you know, if you take out McCaffrey, you have a not fully healthy Ayuk. Like, I just don't know.
Hmm. So I'm just going to go ahead and list the teams that I have them beating, just so that way, we get a better understanding of why my win total is high. Uh, First, I guess I'll start with the losses. The losses are I have them splitting with each of their division rivals, the Seahawks, Cardinals, and Rams, and then I have them losing to the Buccaneers, which would be the 4 losses that I have. Like I said, more realistically, they're going to drop a couple more games than that. So we're maybe looking at like 11-6, but as of right now, I have them beating the Saints. I have them beating the Jaguars. I have them beating the Falcons, uh, the Texans, the Giants. Like I said, splitting with the Rams, splitting with the Cardinals. I have them beating the Panthers, beating the Browns, beating the Titans, the Colts, the Bears, and then, like I said, splitting with the Seahawks. Like I could very well see that happen. And if they are winning so many games, I feel like the momentum is going to be on their side. You know,
Right.
like look at the Vikings last year. They just kind of came out of nowhere. They just won
Yeah.
games and had momentum on their side, and then they got the door slammed on them in the playoffs. So,
Yeah. I think, all the negative words that I was saying, I think at the end of the day, uh, this season really rides on Purdy, right?
yeah.
And keeping the talent around Purdy healthy, I think. Like, you know, not trying to say anything here, but just last year, like Pearsall seemed to have hamstring issues. Like if week one he has a hamstring issue, all of a sudden it's like, dude, you have nobody at receiver. Like yeah, you have Jawan Jennings, but he has not played in training camp at all. He's not exactly what you would consider to be week one ready. Sure, he might play good, but I don't know. Um, and it would feel like it's just Kittle at that point. Like that's just again like it feels a little top heavy right now. Um, But if Purdy has a great season and your run game is successful and your defense is good, you're going to make the playoffs. So,
Yep. Let me talk about who's going to help us get there, though. I want to talk about the 49ers breakout players. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to keep it pretty brief here as well. I'll say a couple reasons why I think, these players are going to have breakouts this season. But I'll start with Ricky Pearsall. I think that he's going to have a great season as long as he's able to stay healthy, like Mike was just talking about. And he's really come along in camp, and he really should be the top target amongst the wide receivers. So, I think if they're willing to feed Pearsall and get him open and play call for him, I mean they have to throw to somebody. And so I think Pearsall, as long as his body can hang, I like him for a breakout. Uh, Next, I have George Kittle, and you might think, man, George Kittle is always good. Yes, he has always been really good, and I think that this is a great chance to see Kittle. For Kittle to see like a ramp up in his targets, as long as Kyle Shanahan just doesn't turn him into the sixth offensive lineman like he normally does. But I think Kittle may be needed as a pass catcher more than ever this year. So he might get more receiving touchdowns. He might be a little bit more of a receiving threat this time around. So I mean we might see Kittle have one of his best years. Um, D Winters on the defensive side of the football, I think D Winters is a very high intensity player, and I just have a feeling that he's going to make his presence felt by taking over Dre Greenlaw's spot. And then, the Niners, I feel like, I mean, we're going to find out soon whether they should have signed Dre Greenlaw or not, because he was one of the big heartbeats on the defense. I think D Winters is going to make people realize that the 49ers probably made a good decision in moving on, but we'll see. He might not. He probably won't be at the same level as Dre Greenlaw, but I think that there are worse linebackers to replace Greenlaw. So, next I have CJ West. CJ West had a very good camp and seems to be one of the more aggressive defensive linemen already. And I think he's going to hit the ground running as a rookie. And the last two players I have are both edge defenders. Well, really, one can play more inside a little bit, but I think that they're going to be splitting time on the edge. Bryce Huff, I think similarly to D Ford, Arden Key, and Leonard Floyd, I think Bryce Huff, has a great opportunity opposite Nick Bosa to really contribute to the sack total. So I have him here. I think he's going to get, I think he could have 8.5 sacks or more. And that's a lot, but 7.5, like that's not completely out of the realm of possibility. He could have more if he's, if he really is that good. I've heard that he might be the best edge rusher, maybe even better than D Ford, but the best edge rusher they've had since D Ford. So, we'll see. And then Mykel Williams, I think Mykel Williams will have a great season, setting the edge and being a big factor in the 49ers being able to stop the run. And that's about it that I have for breakout players. Oh, and Jake Moody, because if he costs us a game, he's going to have to break out of Alcatraz when we exile him there. But yeah, that's really all I got. What do you think, Mike? Do you have any breakout players for the Niners, or you want to just go straight into the Raiders? You think I touched all bases?
I'd say you probably touched most of them. Ricky Pearsall was a guy that I was very in on for fantasy. I was hoping he would come back to my next pick when you ended up taking him. I don't really see it for Ayuk. Juwan Jennings is like a different type of receiver. Like I expect Pearsall to get hot to start the season and keep it going all year and develop that relationship with Purdy and become the Niners' top receiver. But I think throughout the season, really the main top receiver, so long as he's healthy, will be Kittle. Upton Stout is a guy that I would probably say as a, what we're calling this breakout. Just because he's a rookie and, got a starting job on, the nickel corner position.
You said you think Kittle's going to be the top weapon on offense?
Receiver. But I don't think he's going to get, it'll go one of two ways. Either he will be statistically the second receiver, like Pearsall will beat him out, or Kittle's stats will stay consistent, whereas when Ayuk comes back, Pearsall will drop. And that consistency from Kittle will keep him, at the end of the season, it'll look like, wow, Kittle was their top receiver. When really it was like, well, at first kind of Pearsall was, and yada, yada, yada. But it's either going to be Kittle or Pearsall, in my opinion.
I think if Pearsall stays healthy, I think he's going to get more targets than Kittle.
Yeah, I think that would make the most sense to me. But again, because of how few targets you have right now, I could see an emphasis for Kittle as the season kind of rolls at the beginning here. And then maybe a third breakout. If he ever does see the field, I would say Jordan James. It's a big if because of Brian Robinson joining the team. Isaac Guerendo's technically in front of him on the depth chart, so it might take some injuries or what have you to get him on the field. But if he touches the field, Jordan James.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see Jordan James pop up with Anthony's comment, and then also I see Chewy said that Brock Purdy is number one. I know Chewy's talking about Brock Bowers being number one, but I like to play around. And then Joseph Ernberg tuning into the channel, Joseph, welcome to the Silver and Gold podcast, says Niners have no true number one wide receiver. I think their true number one is maybe going to come back in the middle of the season. I think Ayuk is a true number one receiver. But yeah, as of right now, I mean, it's also still too early to say whether Ayuk can still be a number one receiver. But yeah, as of right now, I'd say you're right. But I think in a team that's historically run first and has the pass game be a complement to the run game, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. But you know, we'll kind of see how it goes. We'll get a better idea Sunday against a good Seattle team. Mike, are we ready to talk about the Raiders?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the Raiders 2025 season predictions. Mike, what are your predictions for this year?
Well, the overall standings prediction, when I looked at the schedule today and, really thought about, each game again from the perspective of today, Friday night before week 1, um, I have the Raiders going 8-9. I think it will be productive, probably more so in the second half of the season. I mean, it'll probably just be up and down, really. You know, um, when they face those tough opponents, those more consistent opponents like the Chiefs, I think the Chargers, especially after tonight, might be on the up and up. The Broncos are. I mean, dude, our division is so tough, man. It's fucking annoying. Um, I just think they're gonna lose to most of those teams. Um, because of their defense. It's really their defense to me. Like they will just get ran on or really passed on. As more of a play on words with the ran, but they're gonna be like if you're playing fantasy football and you have a receiver, if your fourth string fantasy receiver is playing the Raiders, start them. Start them because they're gonna go off. So that's just the way I feel about them this year. And then the real question mark or hope is how good can this offense be? Like, can this be an offense that like counteracts how bad the defense is? And then occasionally Max Crosby has an excellent play, kind of a la 2016. Like 2016 Raiders were able to make the playoffs and be like a 12-4 team or whatever they were, because their offense was explosive. They scored a lot of points, and their defense forced turnovers. But when they weren't forcing turnovers, they were giving up points half the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can this defense force turnovers? I'm not so sure. Crosby, I'm confident in, but he's going to be doubled every game, especially without Christian Wilkins. Like, dude, I I just don't see a winning season this year for them, but I can see them getting very, very close. Anthony says Chip Kelly, proven respected play caller that just won the Natty. Chip Kelly is one of the reasons why I have hope that they can win around 8 to 9 games.
As
Like, again, for week 1, like scheming guys open, tempo.
a Niner fan, Chip Kelly will never give me hope, but
Mm. Yeah, I would like to think that he has gotten wiser since then, but I would also like to think that who was on the Niner teams with Chip Kelly? Like, who are your best players?
Kaepernick, um, Joe Staley. Joe Staley was the best player.
Like, okay,
Navarro Bowman,
well, give me like
Eric
receiver,
Reed.
running back.
Receiver and running back. So running back, Carlos Hyde did get hurt pretty early on. So we had Sean Drone.
And there's your answer.
And then at wide receiver, we had Torrey Smith as our number one when he's historically been a number two.
Uh huh.
and we had Jeremy Curley and Vance McDonald.
Oh, oh. So kind of like Brock Bowers.
Yeah. So like, imagine if Brock Bowers was good.
Imagine if Brock Bowers like smoked meth like once a week.
Yeah, not and not like some cheap meth that you get like in L.A., but like some like
Yeah,
Heisenberg stuff. You know?
yeah, he had the good stuff. Took it on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that would be my reason why Chip Kelly gives me hope is because I mean, saying that this college, proven college coach coordinator can translate to the NFL is not so easy. Like we saw it last year with the Seahawks offense, with the guy from Washington whose name I'm forgetting. Like it didn't work for them. But Chip Kelly has success in his history in the NFL with the Eagles when he had actual guys on offense, like Shady McCoy, LaShawn McCoy. And I think that might have been around the same time as Zach Ertz, maybe. Um, anyways, he's had successful offenses. He has, I think, the talent to get it done. Um, but it can't be, just some vanilla plays. Like he has to get in his bag. He has to scheme guys open. I know he likes tempo and stuff, so they have to be able to successfully run the ball if they're going to be able to sustain drives and have this fast pace of play. Like you have to be efficient paired with explosive and good on the line and all those things. Like they have the potential. Will it come together? I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, when I look at this defense and I look at some of our opponents, you know, long story short, just under 500. 8 and 9 is my prediction.
Hmm.
But because of how bad this defense looks on paper, I could see 6 wins.
Yeah. Real quick, you mentioned Zach Ertz. I don't know if the timeline really was that Chip Kelly lined up with Zach Ertz. I think it might have been Doug Peterson, but uh, for all I know, it was during the Chip Kelly era. But every time I hear Zach Ertz's name, I think of Lorenzo's old team name in our fantasy league. Do you remember it?
I'm assuming it was my ball, Zach Ertz.
Yeah. So I just like, and I would always read it in like a way like, my ball Zach Ertz, like like hella sad. I don't know, man. Every
There's a
time.
crazy one with Chase Brown this year. Crazy team name that I saw with his name.
What is it?
I'm not saying it.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you after.
Okay, that sounds good. Uh, let's see. There's quite a bit of. Oh, I'll get to the comments after I give my record prediction. How how rude of me to not finish out the topic. But I have the Raiders going 7-10 this year, like kind of in the same ballpark as you. Um, I just think that I think the Raiders will just narrowly, not narrowly, but they'll miss the playoffs. But they're going to look like a much better team than I think the years that came before it. And
Competitive.
this season is just merely a stepping stone for them. That's
Yep.
really what I think.
Yep.
They're finally
I
going in
think
the right direction, so they need to take.
yeah.
They're going to take some lumps.
Yeah, one thing, at least with football, that I have that has always stuck with me um from talking to my stepdad is like when the Raiders are like in these turnover periods of like going from one regime to a next, and it's like clearly we're rebuilding again. This sucks. And then, I talked to my stepdad and he's like, "Well, that first year in like the quote unquote rebuild, which this isn't really a rebuild, but just a new regime. That first year, you can compete, but you're probably not going to make the playoffs. What you want to do is just figure out like who is going to be in this program moving forward.
Yep.
You know, like if we win 7 games, 8 games, like that's better than last year. I just want to see us compete in every single game. I want to see us in every single game. I will not accept a blowout. Like last year, I was rooting for blowouts. I did not give a shit. I will not accept a blowout this year. Um, and then if they do get blown out, like who am I blaming? Is it the corners? Most likely, but who else gets blamed? Somebody has to get blamed. Like under Pete Carroll, he's talking about like we're going straight for it, blah blah blah. Like they want to make the playoffs. They feel like they can make the playoffs. Okay, first off, prove it. But you know, uh, if that's how you're really going to play, and that's how you're looking at the season, then you cannot be losing games by like 20 points. Like you need to be in every game.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, Anthony says, I bet more Raider fans pull up in here more than Niner fans. I'd say it's about 50-50. And then, like, speaking of Niner fans, Bay Area Oasis fan, welcome to the channel, says go Niners. So how about that? Ask and you shall receive. More Niner fans. Hell yeah. Bay Area Oasis fan, if you do want to hear a little bit more Niner talk, feel free to rewind the video. We've already covered our Niner topics for the day. But yeah, if you have any questions that you want us to answer, we can always answer it kind of at the end of the show. We're about to get into our next topic. What was so funny, Mike?
Oh, just Anthony's last comment. It's hella funny.
He said, fuck no, 50. No, it really just depends on the day because, Fonzie tunes in. Fonzie's a Niner fan. We had Niner Trump. We had Papa J, and then obviously you're a Raider fan. Joel's a Raider fan. I think Anthony C is a Niner fan. So, yeah. I mean,
I would
it's
say
about
it depends
50.
on the day.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
But I'd say for the most part, it's like kind of even. But
I love the passion though.
yeah,
I need to be feeling this passion on Sunday. Like once the game starts, it's gonna hit me like, oh, it's
Chewy.
game time.
How
Let's
did
go.
I forget Chewy? Chewy's in here, and he's a Raider fan. Chewy says Hampton is not better than Genty. I don't think so. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything that tells me that Hampton is really generational. So
yeah, no, oh boy. I think, Janty is more of that all around, all purpose back. Whereas Hampton, to me, Hampton is like a David Montgomery, but like maybe a rich man's David Montgomery.
mm-hmm. Anthony said, they leave when I pull up or what? Yeah, man. They just can't hang with you, man.
Yeah.
You're the life of the party. Anthony, I just said Bay Area Oasis is in here, man. He said, oh yeah, Frank says, hey guys. See? We're all here. Frank, oh man. It's been a couple episodes since we've seen Frank. Frank, remind me, are you a Niner fan or a Raider fan? Let's let this decide it, okay?
Why do I feel like I might be tripping? Is Frank a Chargers fan?
Ooh. Well, no, I don't know.
Remember there was one Charger fan that we had in here a couple times?
Yeah.
I might be thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, he's probably scared of Anthony.
Yeah, he's like, oh god, I don't want to say.
Yeah, Frank.
Oh,
all right, Frank's a Raider
How
fan.
dare I say? How dare I say the Chargers? What are we talking about? Jeez.
I remember Frank though, for sure. Oh, see, Mr. C, 49ers, stay up. All right, we're starting a war in here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about who is going to have a great season for the Raiders. Mike, do you want to start off?
Yeah, I might as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the clear and obvious breakout is Ashton Gianti. I don't have to say much there. Uh, I would say the next clearest obvious breakout would be Dante Thornton. Just looking at the rookies and who has, big roles. Unfortunately, for some reason, Jack Besh didn't really earn a big role to start. I kind of wonder if, I guess I have two theories with Jack Besh. One is he's having trouble separating at training camp. Um, or two is he is the backup to Jacoby Myers, and the Raiders have always intended for that. And he's like the success plan for when Jacoby Myers leaves next offseason because he only has 1 year remaining. Again, I would give him a pay raise just to make him happy. Um, and I would really highly consider giving him at least a 1 year extension. But that being said, uh, I would not say that Jack Best is a breakout this year. Um, I mean, on the offensive line, this is kind of a weird one, but I would say Jordan Meredith, just because he's sliding over to center. He's the starting center, and I don't think he got the flowers that he kind of deserved last year for his work at right guard.
Mm-hmm.
When guys, or just at guard in general, when guys went down. Um, I'll give you a breakout player based off of what I was hearing out of training camp. I'll put it this way: I didn't draft any shares of Brock Bowers in fantasy, but I did draft a few of Jacoby Myers. The biggest reason I didn't draft any Brock Bowers this year is because I never really was in a position to get him. The second reason is Michael Mayer. There was a lot of hype and like consistent another pass. No, it's way too early to say Bish is a bust. But Anthony, but let's have some hope, guys. I still think he's gonna be a stud.
It's not early
Um,
enough. Keep saying it.
yeah. Usually wide receivers take a year. Usually. That's why I wonder if he's again the Myers succession plan. But anyway, and because like he works a lot out of the slot, Besh, like that's where he's like a power slot. Like you have Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker and the tight ends like alternating in the slot. Like that doesn't leave room for Besh. Um, yeah, Michael Mayer sounds like a guy who's a big red zone target this year. Um, I think they're gonna have a lot of, is it 12 personnel where you have two tight ends on the field?
Mm, let me look it up
I
so I
want to say
don't
it's
get it wrong.
12. Right. I want to say 11 might be two receiver. I could be wrong. Here,
Yeah,
you search up 12.
12 personnel is one running back, two tight ends, two receivers.
Two receivers? Okay.
Yeah.
What's 11? Is that three receivers?
11 is probably three.
Right.
Yeah, one running back, one tight end, three wide receivers.
Okay. So, I would expect a lot of 11 and 12, but I guess the shocking one is the 12 personnel. Like, I would expect a lot of 12 personnel with Michael Mayer on the field because of how good he has been in training camp. So, that would be a breakout where he can finally actually break out. Former second round pick, like Anthony's talking about, a waste of a second round pick in Jack Besh. I mean, they draft Michael Mayer in the second round, and then the next year they go for Bowers in the first. Different regime for both picks, but immediately our second round pick in Michael Mayer, who we're hoping to become this great starter, just gets supplanted. Boom. Well, now I think the hope here is can both succeed. Obviously, Bowers is going to be the target hog, but can Michael Mayer be a situational guy that can be schemed open or however they can utilize him, a red zone threat, for, essentially like not fades, but, high pointing a pass in the end zone. And just out physicaling the defensive back or linebacker that's put on him. A mismatch, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And again, give Jack Best time. On defense,
He's a bust.
no. I refuse. Um,
He
I mean,
refuses
I
to.
guess I would say Geno Smith, but we've seen Geno Smith in the NFL before. Like I don't know if I can call him a breakout, but for being the first year on the Raiders, like I expect good things out of Geno. And if he does, like if he sucks, I would be so shocked and so sad. I would be so sad, dude. I'd be miserable. Um, but I really do think he's going to be like not like shockingly good, like wow, he might deserve an MVP nod or two. No, he's not gonna be no offensive player of the year or nothing. But I think he could throw like I think he's expected to throw like say 22 passing touchdowns. I could see him getting to more around 30 to 32 if the season goes right. Um, on defense, my I'd say my biggest breakout player is Tyree Wilson. Like
Really?
above everybody else, not named Ashton Gianti. I think Tyree Wilson looked great in the preseason. I think that you lose Christian Wilkins. I think he's going to slide inside more,
Whoa.
situationally. Yeah, he's going to.
They got rid of Christian Wilkins.
Yeah, and now Tyree Wilson is going to be kissing the opposing quarterbacks on the forehead. Uh, no, but he looked good on the edge. He looked like he finally has an actually NFL made bull rush move. He looked a little bit quicker off the line, like at the snap. He just looks good. He looks like he's ready for the season. We're talking about busts in the comments right now. Like Tyree Wilson is on the border of being a bust, like Cleveland Farrell type. Of like serviceable, but not that top 10 pick that you were hoping for. You know, I think that he can go out there this year. Kuntz only has 1 year on his deal. I could see Tyree Wilson earning that job and allowing the Raiders to let Malcolm Kuntz leave. And it could be Crosby and Tyree Wilson opposite each other. Uh, I prefer both, Wilson and Kuntz on the line. And I will say again, like with the strength of this defense being the D line, like I like that this D line will have a lot of variety as far as mix matching, uh, you know, linemen on the field in certain situations. Um, Whenever they do start getting their shots in games, I think JJ Pegues and Tonka Hemingway are potential breakout targets. Um, but I can't say that for sure because they're like both the third string, left and right D tackles right now. And then the last guy I'll say, just because he's new to the team, is Jeremy Chin. I'd say he's a breakout uh, target, if you will.
Let me give you my breakout players and why I think
Yeah.
so. The first two that you named are my first two as well. Uh, but yeah, so I've got Dante Thornton. I think that he has a chance to be a top wide receiver in this offense, or the top wide receiver in this offense over Jacoby Myers. I think he has a chance. I'm not saying he's going to. He's got a shot.
Eh.
Um, I don't know. I
I think, yeah,
I liked
I
him
get
when
it.
they
I get it.
drafted him, and I've liked everything that I've seen so far out of him. So I
I'm very
like
excited
I
about it.
like his size, and you know I think that he gets, at least from what I saw when the starters were out or were playing in the preseason, I think he gets targeted a little bit more than Jacoby Myers. I think Gino kind of feels comfortable with Dante Thornton. I wonder if it has to do with the size. Um, and then
Yeah.
hey, watch, we're gonna revisit this episode, and, and then Dante Thornton, you're gonna be like, yeah, I should have seen it all along, honestly. Yeah, but
I just my theory is that they were going very vanilla and probably wanted the younger players to get like in game, you know, practice, if you will.
mhm.
Like there's really no need to throw it to Jacoby Myers in the preseason. And I think once we actually get to the real play calling in the regular season, like the real stuff will happen, which is get guys open, who separates the best, it's gonna be Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers.
I'm telling you, I think Dante Thornton's gonna have a good role. Uh,
Yeah, I think he's going to be the third guy in line not named Myers, Bowers, and Gianti in the opposite order.
so the fourth guy in line.
The fourth guy, yeah.
Yeah. My next
Third guy at
breakout
receiver.
my next breakout player is Ashton Genty, and what I have here is not really much needed to be said. True bell cow, he can do it all. My last guy, I don't think that you named him, or maybe you did, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention or missed it. But uh, Isaiah Polamau, I like what I've seen from him, and the last I saw was the great interception that he made in the preseason. I think that he might be ready to make an impact and possibly be a playmaker.
Yeah, I like that. I just didn't choose him just because he was a starter at least the second half of last year. Um, I like that pick a lot. I'll also note the one guy I forgot. I mean, now I have like fucking 8 players, but Trey Tucker, I think he's another breakout candidate for sure.
No, he's gonna suck. I'm just kidding. Real quick, I do want to get to the last of the comments, and then I think we're done. We're done with the show. But Anthony is over here very upset about the fact that you guys wasted a pick on Jack Besh, and I also do. I also agree. I think it was kind of a wasted pick. I felt that way at the time, and I feel that way now. But let's see. I think Anthony said, "How do you get beat out?" Or when you get beat out by a fourth or fifth round pick, you're a bust. I will say, it doesn't automatically mean it because I think Dante Thornton is pretty good, but I see what you
I'll tell you
mean.
right now, it's not that Dante Thornton beat out Jack Besh. I think it's that Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker beat out Jack Besh because they are situationally different. Jack Besh and Dante Thornton. Dante Thornton is a pure X receiver. Jack Besh is a big slot receiver.
True,
They are
true,
not the same.
true. Um,
Different
Also,
roles.
Mr. C says Ashton Gianti. That's why the Raiders are going places. That might be maybe not to speak for you. That might be your favorite comment of the night. I'm sure that in a couple years you will want to be able to say that like the Raiders went places because of Ashton Gianti.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I think like the way that I'm looking at this is it can't be Geno Smith forever. Like people are talking about I mean this is dating back to, right before we had to, you know, uh wait a couple weeks for, the pod and whatnot. But like Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons, being trade candidates. Like people were talking about like, oh, the Raiders should go for them, and like help Crosby out. I would much rather send a fourth rounder or third rounder for a corner than 2 first round picks for an edge defender.
How
Like,
about how about 3 firsts and a third for a quarterback that plays 4 games for your team?
yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome. But the point to that of like I don't want to give up 2 first round picks for an edge defender isn't just that like I don't think our defense is quite there yet to like, oh, that's the finishing piece. But also, if you give up those first round picks, now you're lacking in your ability to draft your quarterback of the future. Like at that point, what the fuck are we doing? Like that's always been my mentality on this team, or like my vision for this team is like we have to take the next season or two to build the roster around the quarterback. The offense looks like it's almost there. It's just we need to figure out the offensive line. We need to finalize the offensive line. And I think that's been a focus with like the center and Jackson Powers Johnson shit. It's been a focus. I like Jack Besh as a depth receiver right now. I don't think he's a bust. I think he's good depth. Give him time. If Jacoby Myers leaves, suddenly there's an open void in the offense for a former second round pick. But for the fuck's sakes, like if we get rid of first round picks, suddenly we can't get a star corner or a potential franchise quarterback. So every Raider fan that was thinking, fuck yeah, let's trade for Micah Parsons, let's trade for Trey Hendrickson. What are you? Look at the roster. We are not winning a Super Bowl with that. And Micah Parsons, like, get out of here. No. Again, Geno Smith is not going to last forever. He's on a 3-year deal, but really it's a glorified 2-year deal. They should draft the quarterback next year. Second round pick should be at corner. The rest should be offensive linemen, pretty much, or other corners. It's going to take at least a year. But my point is they need those picks for the big ticket players that are going to be the future of this team. Quarterback, cornerback. We're almost there. On offense, like you said, like with Janty, we're going places. Like, I'd like to see in 2 years, they have those necessary players. Then you can make the trade for the Micah Parsons type. Then it's like, oh, we're just that one guy away. Let's go trade for, at that point, let's just say somebody's contract is coming up who's like, whatever, I don't fucking know. Will Anderson. He's having a contract dispute with the Texans in 2 years from now. Boom. There you go. Fuck the picks. Fuck them. We're ready. Let's go. That would be when you do it. Anyways, That was a rant.
Yeah.
It's going to take time. You have to get the quarterback. You have to get the corners.
You got to cool off a little bit, Mike. The Raiders are going to win on Sunday. You just can't be this tense, or else the Raiders are going to come out tense.
No, I mean this is good. I'm getting mentally in the zone of like it's football season. Like that was the football season coming out of me right there.
Just relax, man. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Everything okay?
It's really not. I've never had a franchise quarterback.
I'm
Jack
sure
Bush
you
might
did.
be a
Derek Carr, Rich
Jack
Gannon?
Bush might be a bust. I didn't really get to watch Rich Gannon.
I mean he is, but it's okay. It's okay. Real quick, I do want to get to these final comments, and then we're done with the show. But this year, Isaiah Polamau has a better coach. That is very true. He's got the best coaching that he's probably ever gotten in his life. Just remember this coach and with these players, just pay up. Just pay up, Michael.
You bring up a good point. It's so funny to me, and I'm really not trying to draw this down and out or, for a longer duration. But Jose brings up a good point with Pete Carroll. Like, what's very interesting to me about this team is that our massive, most glaring weakness on this roster is the position that he specializes in. Corner. Like, he is known for having the prototype, type at corner in, like, lengthy guys. Like, Darian Porter. Like, that's his guy. It's just a matter of when will he be ready. Do I think Darian Porter and Stokes can get it done? Not necessarily. But it's just interesting that the weakness of this team is Pete Carroll's specialty. So, like, in theory, if everything else like figures itself out, like, and it's just like, hey Pete, find us a star corner, and hey scouts, find us the star quarterback. Like, it's not going to be that simple, but if they can get those players, anyways.
Yeah, Mr. C says, I can't believe I'm defending the doo-doo. The Raiders are the doo-doo, Mike.
Or it's because Pete Carroll's always been your guys' rival.
Yeah, well, Pete Carroll was the coach of USC, so I think Pia's dad always has had a sweet spot for Pete Carroll,
Yep.
Because of what he did for the program. But yeah, like he says, relax, Mike. Mikey show. That's gonna do it for our episode tonight. I do want to thank Mr. C, Anthony Provencio, Frank Weber. I want to thank Chewy. Hold on. yeah, Chewy's NFL news and podcast, Bay Area Oasis fan, um, Joseph Ernberg. Uh, who else tuned in? I know Anthony C also tuned in. Fonzie tuned in. Pia tuned in. I just want to thank all you guys, and then even those of you who didn't comment today, and maybe you're watching, or if you're not watching this live, I want to thank you guys for checking out the channel. If you made it this far in the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps us with the algorithm and helps get our channel out there. And oh, and Frank, did I say Frank? Of course, can't forget Frank. Frank says Carroll is counting on his schemes more than his players. I know a coach that I have watched for the past couple years definitely counts on his scheme more than his players. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys. Hope you guys have a great night. Mike, do you have any last words before we get out of here? Didn't think so. No, just kidding. No, go ahead.
No, just go Raiders.